Episode 14.
Oh yeah,
here we are.
Probably should have. Yeah, this probably should have been the first episode of our 10th season, I guess. Episode X1.
Ooh,
am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
That would have worked. Never gets old.
No, all of my jokes never get old. That's the point of doing a joke over and over again, right?
Loving it.
And not to spoil too much, but next week we probably should have saved that episode for episode 571.
Yeah, I'm not sure what movie you're referring to, but
Right. I don't want to give it away.
right.
That's if we keep on our schedule.
Right.
Which we will. So let's see. I had a pretty good weekend, I'll say.
Tell us about it.
Well, I'm an avid bowler now.
Oh yeah.
And Jamie's been witness to my rise to greatness.
We've had to come to terms on the team with him potentially becoming the best player on the team after being one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life, not even on my team, like just in general. And he's a meteoric rise to power and is bowling like a maniac right now.
Yep.
You should see him play basketball.
That will never go anywhere. With the NCAA tournament going on, I did think about those intramural games. We had this one game where we couldn't get in the recreational league. We got into the competitive league or something like that. You remember that, Alex? You were on the team.
No, I wasn't on the team, but I remember hearing about it.
Oh, you weren't on? Oh, my gosh. It was the worst. So we were just playing all these people who'd run out of eligibility.
Oh, Jesus.
And were like dunking on us. We lost like 33 to 130 points.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, I don't like to think about that. I'd like to think about, how well I'm doing at bowling.
Yeah. Kyle had never bowled over a 200. And in the last week, how many times have you bowled over 200?
It's probably like
It's like 3 times.
three times
right?
now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In the last week.
221
Wow.
in competition.
Yep.
With my handicap, that was a 320.
Yeah, he's got a higher best game in competition than I do.
Ridiculous.
Would you say you're the Parker Bone of submarine film podcasts?
I don't even know who that is.
I'm not sure what that is referring to.
I think he's a bowler.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? I think Pete Weber, isn't that one?
Yeah. He's one.
Weber was a famous guy.
No. I just know Jason Belmont.
I want to say Parker Bone was kind of like the bad boy of bowling. He always wore sunglasses while he was bowling and stuff like that.
That's not bad, bull. That's just cool.
Right. We're not talking about Ken Bone, the guy who asked a question to Donald Trump and had less than 15 minutes of fame. I think it was like 9.5 minutes of fame or something.
You weren't even on the message on that.
No.
I was sending around this week because I looked him up this week because I wanted to see what was going on with him. And there's somebody that shares his same name. I think it's an assistant head coach at Gonzaga.
Great.
So you look it up on Google. That guy's photo's there. And then it says assistant head coach at Gonzaga.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, wait, what? And I had to delve deeper into it. I'm like, okay, it's not him. It's another guy with that same name.
Okay, Pete Weber is the sunglasses bowler.
Yeah. He's the bad boy.
Parker Bone is a little more milk toast. He's got a nice mustache going on. Probably more accurately a good description of Kyle.
Yeah.
I like it.
I will say we're jumping ahead to season 5 bowling movies right now.
Yep.
I feel like we got to reel it right back in.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Alex, you did something semi-athletic this weekend, right?
I want to say that.
It's a competition of sorts.
It was. This is our 3rd year in a row. We got a team together and did beer Olympics. It's a lot of fun. We got first place 2 times in a row.
You got it again yesterday?
Yeah, we won again yesterday. Easily, though. We were kicking everybody's butts. We placed in everything except for one event. So out of like the 8 things you can get points on, we got them 7 out of 8 things we got points on.
So like what games do you guys do for competitions? Or I mean, if they're even games, or what do you do to get points?
Well, first off, we were all wearing lederhosen because we were the Germans. We were trying to be like the Germans from Beer Fest. So we were wearing lederhosen. So we got 2nd place in our costume. We lost to a group of people that showed up as Anchorman people or whatever. So that's fine. I call them Goodwill because of their clearly Goodwill clothes. And,
I bet they really liked you.
Exactly. Well, the one guy tried to fight me too, but he ended up buying me a shot by the end of the night, so it's all good. And then there's beer chug, flip cup, 3-ball pool, which is just regular pool, just so you can get your 3 balls in quickest. Just try to move things around quicker. Cornhole, and then like a ring toss kind of deal.
No Beirut or beer pong or something?
Oh, there was beer pong. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yep, there was that.
Now you don't do this because I was trying to explain it to my wife. She thought that this was just some kind of backyard competition. This is at a bar.
Yeah,
right?
it's at a bar. Yeah, there were 14 teams. Place is packed. They got a Jägermeister rep that was there that was buying shots for everybody, and he had his credit card sitting out on the bar. I could see it. It clearly just said like Jägermeister of Ohio. I'm like, holy crap! I should have taken a photograph of it, but yeah, it's pretty legit. And so yeah, back-to-back world champs. We won twice in a row now.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Appreciate
congratulations.
that. Thank you.
Did you I mean, I feel like did you rep the podcast in your winning speech, your victory speech?
You know what? They actually didn't do a speech for us this year because we were pretty toasted by the end of it. But
it kind of makes sense.
We did get some pretty cool prizes. Zach got himself a surfboard that said Jägermeister on it. I got a shot ski.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why are they giving out a surfboard to anybody living in Ohio?
I don't know. But they were like, you could come up here and pick anything you want. And Zach immediately took that.
That's amazing.
Alrighty.
So that was it. It was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Brom, did you do anything?
Nothing special. I played cards all weekend, played cards with my cousins, and played cards on Friday night, and
Wow.
that's about it.
Your cards is like our bowling.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Obsessive.
And yeah, I didn't do all that much. Been relaxing to the max, doing some running on the weekends. My wife's training for a marathon, so she had long runs. I was helping her out with that, dropping off water and all that stuff too. So,
Man,
relaxation.
real team. Nice.
Yeah. And then I had to watch this shit.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. Mac East Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. All right, Alex, what movie do we watch this weekend?
All right. We watched Submarine X-1, hailing out of 1968. It's a World War II submarine movie.
It'd be 1969, I believe. It ended up being released, but maybe that was confusing. It was weirdly filmed
There are
earlier. Yeah, there's probably
I
all
found
kinds
three
of,
different release dates
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. It was filmed in 1967, and then like shelved for a while, so it probably appeared here and there at different points. But yeah, that well-known film that everyone knows, Submarine X-1, that everyone talks about and thinks about
All the time.
all the time. I certainly do. It stars James Caan, and we all know James Caan from Godfather. He was one of the family members in The Godfather, and then more famously known as the father of Scott Caan. For all our Hawaii Five-0 heads out there who love Scott Caan.
Simply amazing.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. This movie opens up with a scene of a beach and just a bunch of people stumbling in from the waves.
Yeah,
They
I
look
actually
pretty
kind of
beat up.
I kind of dug this opening. It was kind of a weird, interesting way of opening a film about a submarine sinking, because we think about like Run Silent, Run Deep, which kind of opens in a similar way. They're on a submarine that gets sunk, and then it's about the story of the people recovering from that and trying to get revenge of sorts,
Right.
because of it. And in that case, you see the submarine sink. Here, it's almost like they didn't have the money for it, or they were like, wait, people are going to be confused. We need to show that they totes were part of this submarine that sunk. And so they just have them stumbling out of the sea, and they're like, our submarine sunk. But everyone on the submarine kind of hates, or everyone who survived kind of hates the captain, who's played by James Caan. And he sits there in really subdued performance. It was a little bit strange at times, where he'd kind of just like mumble his lines, deadpan for the most part. And yet everywhere I looked, people were like, real nice performance by James Caan. Really nice, really showing how he was going to become a star. I was like, really? Okay. I mean, I guess.
If that's the case, any of us could do it.
Right, yeah. But I also couldn't tell, because this was the Royal Navy, whether he was a captain. I guess he was a captain, right?
He was a commander.
He was a commander.
And his name was Richard Bolton. So in all my notes, I just have him listed as Dick Bolton.
Yes.
Of course.
As he should be referred to. So they have a brief moment where he goes to the Royal Navy hospital, and he sees some of the people that were working under him, and they're all still like, fuck off, get out of here. And then he goes in, and he's informed that he will in fact not be court-martialed, that they've decided that it wasn't really his fault, that in the end, what he did by taking a submarine and attacking a destroyer, a German ship that turned out to be too well armored and getting 50 men killed was actually the right thing to be doing and not a mistake. So they give him command of a training program for a top secret submarine called the X-Class.
Oh, yes.
For sure. And what is the X-Class, Kyle?
It's a midget-class submarine.
Little person class submarine. And these submarines, there's going to be 3 of them, and these submarines are real tiny. They hold 4 people, and you can kind of take them, and you can have a diver go out of them pretty easily, cut a small hole in the submarine nets, and evade mines much easier, and kind of make your way into even a secluded location to attack some boats. Yep. So they start their training program, and they assemble all the people there, and it's kind of a funny little scene of them going up to Scotland, and they're all shipped in like a butter-filled shortbread truck, and they're all like, Jesus, like finally we're here. We can maybe have some rest and relaxation rather than all this like secretive garbage. And out walks James Caan, a bunch of their old commander. I mean, there was a bunch of the people that survived the submarine that James Caan commanded, and they're like, oh, fuck this. And immediately a bunch of them were like, I want to get out of here. And they're like, no, sorry, it's top secret. Ever heard of it?
Right.
It is top secret. Also, didn't know if you noticed, but someone's got his dick out. Oh, is that you? No, that's weird. It's me. And I call the shots around here. So no thank you. You're on these subs. Take care of your business. Like, fuck off, whatever.
Yeah. But the place they're staying is pretty nice.
Oh, it's like a castle.
It is a castle. It's crazy. But then this is awesome because they just like immediately get into a training montage.
I know. And what was so weird is I was like, all right, submarine time. No, it was not submarine time. It was actually not submarine time forever. Instead, it was almost like a James Bond or training of James Bond movie where they're like having... And I knew it was going to come back for later in the film, but they would have like divers, and like a diver would come at someone with a knife, and they'd like fight off this guy with a knife.
You saw it multiple times.
I was like, wait, you're on a submarine. When are you encountering your diver with a knife? Oh, we'll see. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll see that everything they do is actually important.
So they're diving, they're working on surfacing on a beach, getting up there, and then they do the knife fights on the beach because why not? And then they
kind
have
of culminates in this one training thing. Oops.
Yep, where they have to dive into a pool and remove a bolt with a wrench, but you can't do it without any oxygen.
Yeah, you don't have your oxygen. It's like basically you might have to go out and do something real quick without oxygen available, and you need to be able to do it. So they're testing that ability. And everyone's able to do it like real easy, no big deal, except for this one guy who goes down and seemingly doesn't know how to work a wrench. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I almost wanted to help him.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah. I was like, is he turning it the wrong way? What is even happening? He was barely moving this like bolt that he was supposed to be getting out of the thing. It seemed like it was less about holding his breath because he seemed to hold his breath forever. It was more about the fact that he had no idea how to use the tool itself. I was like, just teach him how to use a wrench. He's gonna kill himself. But he cut surfaces and he's barely alive. And, James Caan's like, get him back in the water. I need to see that bolt. And he goes down again and basically drowns. It's basically straight out of the abyss. He lets him drown and then brings him back up to the surface.
Caan does. He jumps in. 'Cause everybody's waiting around, looking, freaking out. When's he going to go in?
Yeah.
And Caan's like,
and then
gotcha, boy.
Like an elegant dolphin dives into the ocean and pulls him out of the water. And the guy's, again, even less alive now. And he's like, wring him out and get him back. And I want to see that bolt. And everyone's like, God damn it. Because then the guy's out.
Well, he even calls him out, though. He says, you have a weak member on your crew. Yeah.
It's basically the show Weakest Link. This is where the show Weakest Link came from. They watch this movie. They're like, it'd be a great show. A game show where it's about the weakest link. Like, great idea.
Perfect.
Yeah. And they his like subordinate, the guy who's like kind of second in command or captain of the boat or whatever.
I don't even know how you describe him.
Yeah, but he kind of countermands the order and says like, take him to his bed. And so we get a scene of him, the guy who almost drowned in his bed, waking up and being like, what an asshole. Like, I'm going to show him, and going out and doing it and bringing him the bolt and then collapsing. And he's actually sick. He's like exhausted.
It was pretty funny though, because when he comes back into the room, he finds the commander. He finds Dick Bolton.
Yeah.
And he screams or something. And Dick Bolton says, all right, enough of the theatrics or something. And then the guy proceeds to slam the bolt down, falls into a table, knocks all this chessboard over. I just thought that's the most theatrical thing you could have done.
Yeah.
I also loved how often they were like drinking. It'd be like, oh, we're just off for a second, like grab some beers, grab some whiskey, like blah, blah. And you'll see at the ending was even the funniest part of that. It's like all the time, it's like, pour me a beer. Like we're just hanging out. Even before like they'd have to run off and like man a gun that's trying to shoot at a plane or whatever. But yeah, so they're all kind of talking behind his back a little bit.
About the guy who's
James Caan. Well, he's in sick bay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they're kind of saying like, this guy's crazy. Like, you know, I told him not to go back out there. I countermanded his order, but you know, it didn't matter. He had made it in such a way that this guy felt like he had to jump in. And so they're kind of talking shit about him, and everyone's talking shit about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden a warning siren sounds.
Yep.
Wham.
Yes.
German planes.
Yeah. And
one plane.
Lucky
sorry.
for them, that plane was actually flying in 1946, so they didn't have to worry too much about it, because it was a black and white archive footage plane that I couldn't believe they actually used in a film that they released.
Right.
It was weird because it's not a black and white movie, guys. It's a color movie. And then they shoot over to a black and white picture of a plane and like, oh no, that plane's here.
Yep. And then somebody says something along the lines of, man, whatever we're hiding, I hope it's worth it. And they say, well, you better believe it is. And then finally they go over and pull the nets off and you see the mini subs.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
it's about time. It took 25 minutes.
So the whole thing was the plane. They were just hoping the plane was doing a routine check of Scotland. Why would they? But that's what they're hoping, right? But it's enough of an issue that they end up getting the main commander to come over and kind of be like we're a little worried that you know, things are, that they're getting wind of something up here. They're trying to search for it. They're a little worried about the potential that we have something that can attack a destroyer in a fjord. So like, you know, we need to kind of like hop to it. So they start their submarine, you know, training and stuff, and they're drilling really, really hard. And so they have this whole kind of series of events they go through in these submarines. And as I said, they actually go through a lot of details of the sub.
It was very well done.
Yeah. This is the point where I started kind of to like dig parts of this. They go through this whole thing, almost like a Wikipedia page of all the dimensions and how fast they go submerged and how fast they go on top, how many people man it, what those jobs of those 4 people are in the sub. And then they go out in the sub, and one of the guys is like a diver, but I was actually looking like, I actually could see myself in one of these. Like usually you see a submarine, I'm like, I'd be like terrified because it seems like you're just so cut off from the rest of the world. But they had like little windows and they were in this tiny thing, and it was almost like a little house that they lived in with everyone. I was like, you know what? This seems kind of pleasant.
What a great place.
Yeah. It seems like what we should get for this podcast. It seems like it could hold 5. We saw at the end.
It could.
5 of us in a little X1
submarine,
X-class submarine.
Cruise around the Great Lakes.
I'm liking this. Again, you guys take it out for the first go around. I just want to make sure it doesn't sink or anything like that. But I'm totes on that second or third one once you've hammered out all the details and haven't sunk yet.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, perfect.
So I'm
still the captain, though. Oh, wait, no, you're the captain.
Yeah, you're XO.
I'm XO, but mutiny's coming quick.
Oh, man.
You better believe it.
There's not a lot of room on there to mutiny.
That's enough. Let's just say it.
Just jettison.
It's going to be real uncomfortable with your dick out, though.
Yeah, I imagine. So anyways, part of the training they're showing is a guy gets outside of the sub, they go and cut the nets, and there's a big problem with one of them because they think that they cut the net big enough.
Well, no, the guy drops it. So he's cutting the net. So first time they do it, it's successful. Great, like perfect. But then they're, you know, really trying to hammer this speed because the commander is basically, or the admiral, whoever, has said like, we really need to be ready in like a few weeks. Like this needs to happen quickly.
This is the cliche type thing.
Yeah.
Where, okay, we got to get him out there. Well, the training's not done. Well, too bad.
Better be done. Yeah. And so as a result, you know, kind of peeved at having everything rushed, they have their diver out there and they're supposed to get it done or like net cut by a certain time. And they see him cutting it, but he drops his like clippers and he's going down to get it. And he's like, well, I think he's cut it enough. I can make it through. And it turns out that he did not, and he gets his submarine caught in the net. And like any good submarine, although you'd think it would have burst into flames, it did not. It did open to the water.
Yes, it did.
And the water pours in, and we get a little water on the batteries. Get some battery acid.
Yep. People are getting gassed out.
Oh yeah.
And here we go. Dick Bolton to the rescue again.
Dives right in there.
Gets inside the sub. Starts giving people his oxygen.
Yep.
And is able to bring it up.
All by himself.
Like a total boss.
Yeah.
He should have been like, why do we need 4 people? Just put me in.
Yeah, I'll take over from here. Kind of.
You guys clearly aren't doing it.
Yeah. So he's kind of pissed at this guy. He's like, you didn't do it right. And he was trying to explain, like, don't you understand this is like...
And this is Davies.
Yeah, Davies, yeah. And he's like, don't you understand this is kind of like what you did with the submarine? Like, this is how I've come to terms with what you did. And we got sunk and we lost 50 men. You saw a moment and you went for it. I saw a moment and I went for it. That's what I have to do in combat. Like, isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing in this training and stuff like that? And he's kind of like, yeah,
this is training.
He's not. And he when Davies is dismissed, he's like, God, he was trying to connect it back to that submarine. You can see he's really still very much haunted by it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn it. But anyways, Davies is like, it's just a matter of time. He's giving me an hour, but I need to go for a walk. And some anonymous woman is like, let's go for a walk. And he's like, great, perfect.
Yep. And they were out there just walking through the woods, smoking, taking some puffs on some cigs, and all of a sudden, German paratroopers.
Yeah, they see some paratroopers falling out of some more stock footage, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And so they're trying to run back, and she immediately sprains her ankle, and he's like, "Damn it!" And so he's carrying this woman through the woods, trying to warn everyone that there's these German paratroopers, and the paratroopers, they get a little bit of their action where they're speaking in just like German accents. They're like, "We're going over there." Well, I can't do it. Let's not try accents here. But they're like, "We got to find out what's over there." Like. Let's go over. And so like they all invade the area, but just at the last moment, Davies is able to kind of go into hand-to-hand combat with one of the Germans.
And he uses the skills he learned in the training montage,
for sure.
Flips the dude over,
is able
and
to
he steals his gun and just starts shooting it in the air to signal people to come outside.
So he's able to signal it. And everyone rushes outside and they get all the guns. And it's a big battle, actually. A pretty big battle ensues. And at the very end of the battle, they see that someone was running over towards the X-class submarines, the secret submarines, but they kill him, and they're like, good, and at least he wasn't seen.
So this is an area where you could tell nobody knew how to speak German.
Yeah.
Because they have that guy go over, and I even rewound and watched this a couple of times because he's looking at something, just goes, "Gai gung gung."
Oh, Jesus.
Like, what? 'Cause I thought, did he say something? And then I rewound it. I'm like, nope, that's what he said right there. Perfect.
So then the Caan is out there, and he's Dick Bolton, I guess. They see at the last moment a German guy run away from the subs. He had been the one looking at the subs, and so they chase after him, and they're able to kill him in the end. Again,
they didn't even try to detain him at all.
I know.
Just
I was surprised by that. I was surprised
him.
that it wasn't like, I'm going to hold this guy and then we'll grab him and now he's a prisoner, and we can get to know like what they're trying to figure out, like their mission and stuff. It's like, nope, just snap his neck, no big deal. That's how we do it around here.
Something that was also odd is that everybody was inside. You're at this secretive military base, and you're not going to have anybody on lookout.
Well, they did. I mean, but the Germans were killing them and stuff.
I don't remember
they
that.
Were walking around, like there was a patrol walking around, and they jumped out and grabbed him and killed him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in the end, he's like, not even like 1 second later, he gets punched in the face. He has hand-to-hand combat, and then a second later, they're like, "You've been issued to London," and a boat pulls up.
This part was weird. Yeah, he didn't have any time to rest. Somebody just comes out, puts a coat on him, and he goes to London. And if you look at where they were on the map, that's a really long boat ride.
And so
Seems unnecessary.
He ends up in London, and they're like, "We got to go now," because if they knew where to look and they knew what they were looking for these submarines, they clearly know that there's the potential that we have some. They may not know exactly what the technology is, but they know there's the potential for the technology, and they're going to be starting to up their defenses in response to this. So we need to send you now. And so,
guess what? The ship that sunk you, the Lindendorf, is hanging out in the Norwegian fjords. Go after it.
And it's the main target because it's been, in a previous mission, it had been injured a little bit, so it's not very fast. It can't really move. It hurt. It's got its rudder damaged, so like it can't move very well. So it's like it's a sitting duck in this fjord if you can get into the fjord, and the only way to get in the fjord is these X-class submarines.
Right.
So they hop right in. He doesn't dismiss that guy that he had been angry with. He says, "No, actually, you're still commanding X3."
Even his exact words were, "Bro, go take command of that X3, bro."
Yeah, for sure, brah. Look at those. Look at the sweet, whatever, tubular waves, whatever people say. I don't know. And they jolly jump in these submarines, and off they go. Straight shot over to this.
This was an hour.
Yeah.
Until finally we're really getting some sub action.
Than drills. In an hour and 29-minute film. Like, there was points where I was like, did I get a cut version of this film? Like, how is this possibly ending in time?
I kept checking that too.
Yeah, I was like, wait. I don't even understand. But they show some stuff of them kind of going through the ocean, heading towards the fjord, but not all that much. I mean, there's not really anything interesting that happens while they're doing that, other than
they get into a minefield.
Yes. So
and this is the second movie we've seen with a mini sub in a minefield.
It's true. And if the other movie had been any indication, they immediately blow up and everyone dies. So I was confused here when they successfully, although they did almost die again. They're like, they take the mini sub out and immediately kind of like rub against one of the mines.
Yeah.
Get
Somebody has to go out
mine.
there and cut it free. Yeah. And all I could think was, oh man, there's going to be another mine above it and it's going to blow this thing up.
Oh, it would have been so good. But no, they all survived. Oh man! And then so all these they get through the minefield and they finally get to the submarine net, and they're like, okay, time to get out there.
How convenient! Just like we practiced, it's like the net we had back home.
Exactly the same net. Yep. Perfect. And no more extra guards. How weird! This is perfect. And we get a little scene of the commander of the German boat. I think you're supposed to see how he's like real savvy, but the rest of the Navy's not. Because they're like, here's the new assignments for everyone. Basically, no one does shit. And the commander's like, wait, what? I'm confused. Like, you need to have frogmen in that water now. Like, we need to be patrolling the submarine net because didn't you hear? There might be some little person submarines coming our way, like ready to cut these things. Like, send them out. And so they send them out and immediately drop the frogmen just like right next to them. They're like, oh shit, frogmen. And it's like, wait, is this the tiniest net in the world? Like, that's really lucky.
It is. It's pretty good. And then this is the first time we've seen a, person to person underwater knife battle.
Yeah. So
pretty nuts.
He drops next to them and there's 3 people out there trying to cut a hole in the net. And one of them engages the frogman.
The frogman rips the mask off the guy. So
for the first person. So he surfaces and he gets seen by the Germans, and they have a boat coming out to them, which is just a scene they kept on showing over and over again. Was the same boat just like coming towards them, and but then the other guy who engages the frogman's able to cut his water and kill him, and so they're able to stop the frogman, but because the guy had to surface, the boat sees them and they are able to drop depth charges.
Oh yeah, and they just totally hit the mark with one of them.
All these characters we've come to know and love die in a explosion.
Boom.
So that's X2, I think, right? Submarine X2?
Yes.
Explodes, I believe. And so all that's left is X1 and X3. And in the end,
another depth charge gets near X1. And then that has to surface.
So the people on that are captured. Now, the captain, our valiant captain, Dick Bolton, he's out there having gone into his submarines or whatever, his diving suit to help out. And so he's outside of the submarine at this point.
Yep.
And
he kind of gets concussed.
He gets concussed. They do get the net open, but he's concussed. And so the other diver for X3 is able to grab him and pull him into the submarine.
And surprise, surprise, it's one of his old crew members.
Oh, yeah. The guy he almost fired.
Guy almost fired, and the guy he almost killed with the bolt mission.
And so they go through their little hole that they've dug, and they go right under the boat. And it's kind of this moral question, right? Like, if they drop the charges that they have and, run away, they're going to explode that boat in a crazy huge explosion. But that will kill the other members of Submarine X-1 who have been taken prisoner on the boat. And so they're like, what do we do? And they think about that for about 1 second and then drop the charges.
Davies was the one who was thinking it. He couldn't say it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Dick Bolton wakes up.
Yeah.
He's like, give me that mic.
Yeah, put that dick away.
Yeah. Here's mine.
Yep.
And drop the charges.
For sure. No big deal.
We're going to blow that thing up.
Yeah. So they do. And they're literally speeding away. And they explode the boat in a giant fire explosion that looks like it's like a volcanic eruption. It's so gigantic and huge. It was amazing. And then they're speeding away. And literally at this point, there was like 45 seconds left in the movie. And you just see him like looking through his periscope. And he steps away from the periscope for a second and goes like, all right, crack open the first aid. I think we could all take a nip of whiskey, right? Smash cut the end.
Yeah. It ends.
I was like, wait, what? That's it?
That's the movie.
No other anything? Like, that was crazy.
That's probably the shortest recap we've ever done. We're under time.
Oh, wow. So let's talk about it some more. What was your favorite scene of a dick that you saw?
Definitely.
I liked when one of the guy got concussed, and then they had to pull him into the hole in the submarine or the little hatch, and he had to grab him. He grabbed him by the dick and put him right into the submarine.
Handle. Yeah.
Yep. That actually happened though. Grabbed him like by the taint and like pushed him into this thing. I was like, whoa, that's acting. He didn't even move.
That's some hardcore stuff.
I would have been like, whoa.
My word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the movie in a nutshell, really. Let's just tear right into it, I guess. Let's get into some ratings here. Let's see.
Who do we want to start with?
Brom, why don't you go ahead and give me a rating on this?
Okay, I was a little surprised that you guys weren't enjoying it. I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit, despite it being super old. I think the age of it kind of lent itself to some awkward, pregnant pauses, and the music never really fit sometimes what was going on screen. It's always kind of like adventure, like exciting music, and like people are dying, and it's just like, oh, okay. And then the very last scene with James Caan, just kind of like his lower lip quivering, and it's just kind of staring at him for a solid minute, and he asked for a little sip of brandy. It was just a little awkward. It was just awkward at times, and it ended kind of abruptly, but I enjoyed it, and I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Ooh,
alrighty.
That's not that bad. I mean, that's not too far off of, I think, what I would give it. But should I go next in that case?
If you want to, go for it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I think it seemed like it was kind of put together maybe last minute, or maybe just to get it off the shelf a little bit. Like, that was one of the weirdest things about it, was like these archived footage kind of thrown in. It's kind of put it together in a strange way, almost with stuff added in, like the people coming out of the beach or some of the training stuff. Like, to me, seemed clearly a way of having some, post-processing or extra additional scenes filmed to make it to get it to time or whatever. So it did seem like one of these things that had kind of been put together at last minute and didn't turn out maybe the way that it could have turned out. And I actually also thought that James Caan was surprisingly terrible. It's actually amazing to watch this and maybe The Godfather, because like he's actually really good in The Godfather. He's kind of a crazy person in The Godfather. And in this, he's really subdued. He barely emotes at all most of the time. Like, he has I guess a quiet, I don't know how to describe it. Like, he's clearly upset about the fact that he lost a lot of men on the submarine that he'd been on before. And so maybe that was the idea, is that he's just like quietly going about his business. But it was strange to watch that as well. So I wasn't super enthused or excited by the movie. And so I guess I'll go with a 6.0. I thought it was middle of the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll go next here. There were things in the movie I enjoyed. For instance, how accurate they were with certain things about the sub. Well, they did take liberties with, one thing, really. But it took a long time for us to get on sub, to get any sub action.
For sure.
I think if you did this movie today, granted this was done in the 60s, I think if you did it today, it could be done extremely well. It could be very cool.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like we just watched Stinger too, so this might inflate me. But
I think that may be the problem.
I'll
see worth it. You know what? I got to change mine too.
I'm going to do like a 5.5 on it.
Yeah, I want to put mine down to a 5.5 as well.
Okay.
I feel like that makes more sense.
I mean, it definitely had some things that I enjoyed, but
it just wasn't what it could have been. It could have been really good. It just wasn't. I don't know. Yeah. I
was thinking Dunkirk came out last summer, and I thought, man, if you did a film like this, with all the effects and all that they had for a movie like that, this could be really top notch.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, let's see. I know you sent a text out. You were not too thrilled with this thing.
I did not like it that much. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I mean, it wasn't terribly trash, but all of that for just sinking one ship, and even then it was a struggle. It just felt like it's a weird story. The mini subs are cool though, obviously. I thought that was
cool. Yeah. Who doesn't love a mini sub?
I like the descriptions they did of them too, and like showing them diving and kind of working the mini sub. Like, I liked all that stuff.
That was cool. The underwater fight scene was actually pretty sweet. Was not expecting that. But overall, I just wasn't too impressed with it. Did you guys also see the film poster for this? It's just on the Wikipedia. It literally says, "Hell can be very cold, very wet, and very deep." Like, what is that?
Why is that not the name of this podcast?
I don't know.
That's amazing.
I was expecting something filled with a lot of action, and instead we just got a whole bunch of training for them to go blow up one boat. So I guess I was expecting more.
Yeah, I would have expected more of the movie to be the mission, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the mission didn't take that long.
No.
It's
30 minutes. That last 30 minutes of the film, basically.
Could have used more of that. But anyway, let's start getting into something else.
Let's get some trivia going.
Jamie, you got some trivia.
Oh, for sure. So, as I had mentioned a couple times, the movie utilizes black and white archive footage, such as for parachuting, as part of the story. As such, these shots do not match the rest of the film. It is rare for this type of color and black and white intercutting to occur in a full-color movie, where the archive footage is not intended to be a historical reference. And I would say that's true, and that tells you something about the film, the fact that normally that would never happen because it looks ridiculous, and yet they did this for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie is based on real-life chariot human torpedo attacks on the German battleship Tirpitz during World War II, as well as Operation Source, which was a series of attacks by X-class midget or little person submarines on Nazi German warships. The Tirpitz and Scharnhorst and Lutzow in northern Norway during World War II.
You're doing really good with those names. Better than I would be.
Yeah, well, I certainly did not do well with those names.
Better than the Germans on the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. And speaking of Operation Source, it was also the subject of Above Us the Waves, a 1955 film. So this is the second film that dealt with the same operation. So if we wanted to see if there was another film that did it better, we have another one that we could try. 1955.
We do.
And so this was produced in 1967 by Mirsch Films. It sat on the shelf for 2 years before being quietly released in August of 1969, actually as the B film on a double feature. So it was the second film of a series that you'd go and see.
Really?
Or I guess the opener. I think that's how it works. It was the opening film. I don't know. The World War II historical drama is invariably classified as minor in the war movie genre. Thanks to a cliched setup and a low-budget approach to scenes that require a bigger epic look. And so that's kind of like those archive footage and stuff like that. You have these parachuters, and normally there'd be some epic look to them, but instead they just use some archive, so it looks real small.
You didn't even necessarily need that scene in the movie.
You didn't need a lot of it, yeah.
Could have spent more time doing other things.
And then to finish up here, usually my fifth one will be where we do some alternative casting. So James Caan received top billing, even though he played a Canadian amongst the cast of characters who were playing English on a British submarine.
I read that. Did any of you even get that he was Canadian?
Yeah, well, it said
did
Canada.
It matter?
It said Canada on his shirt sleeve. So that's the only thing
That's the only thing.
Yeah, really. I mean, other than the fact that he didn't speak with a British accent. So anyways, he was famously in The Godfather. Let's see if some other Godfather actors may have been good in some roles in this one. So what about Al Pacino? Which role would you think maybe that he could have been in this one?
I'd like Al Pacino as Davies, the guy who heads up Submarine X-3.
I don't know. I feel like it's the guy who almost drowns. The guy who gets like real angry. He gets that theatrical moment in the movie
that could
to
be
really
good.
be like, hooah!
And he smashes into the chess table.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be good.
Yeah.
How about you guys? What do you guys think about that?
I could see Al Pacino being that German captain.
Oh, see, I think the second
like that.
one, my second one on here is Marlon Brando. And I was thinking Marlon Brando in that small role as the German captain. Like that would make some sense.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah. I think that'd be
I'd
pretty
dig
good. Does anyone do a Marlon Brando impression?
Nope.
A lot of people do.
Brom, you got a really good one, right?
Yeah, I heard that. Didn't you win an award for it?
I'm gonna give you an offer you can't refuse.
Perfect. Did Marlon Brando step in here? Hey, Marlon, I have a question. Oh, wait, was that Brom? Shit.
That was actually me. Marlon Brando is dead.
Oh, you tricked me.
I
Gotcha.
thought you had a soundboard over there.
Yeah. Number 3, Robert De Niro.
Ooh.
All right. I think Robert De Niro, I should put him in as Davies.
He'd be a good Davies, I think.
I think he could be Bolton.
Yeah, I was going to say, he also could be a good
could
main
be.
character. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He'd be good at the guy who you're kind of supposed to hate, but quietly he like had done the right thing, and now he's driving everyone hard, and everyone's like, "What a dick!" But then it's like, you know what? I now respect you, Robert De Niro. You can take your dick out anytime, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's so serious, looking right into my eyes.
Number 4, and maybe this guy would be Davies. Then in this
Ooh,
case,
okay.
Robert Duvall,
Ooh,
like the apostle himself,
he'd be good.
the judge.
Any of these
right?
guys would
these
be
movies
just so
that everyone
good in
knows that
Yeah.
they love Robert Duvall for. And then this one that you probably wouldn't necessarily know this actor, John Cazale. Does anyone know who John Cazale is? Gazelle?
No, at first I thought you were going to say like Jim Caviezel or whatever his
Jim
name is.
Gazelle. No. So he's famous because he was an actor who he starred in 5 movies, I think, and all were nominated for Best Picture. And then he died of pancreatic cancer. And so his only credits are Best Picture nominated films.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he was in Godfather Part 1, Godfather Part 2. He was in The Deer Hunter. He was in a couple other ones, and they all were nominated. But then he died. He was also married to Meryl Streep.
Wow.
Really?
A long time ago, yeah.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it, Alex?
I am wondering.
I got one for you guys.
Oh, I got one more though.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, actually, you go first. You go first. I can save mine.
Okay, you want to save the best for last? I get it.
Yeah.
Mine's probably just gonna be a letdown, but I'm thinking we got James Caan.
Yep.
He played almost like a father figure to Quentin. Trying to make a man out of him.
I see what you're saying.
And James Caan played Will Ferrell's dad in Elf.
This is not where I thought you were going with it.
What about
we're going for Scott Caan?
What about Will Ferrell as Quentin, the bumbling guy that couldn't initially loosen that bolt, but ends up becoming a heroic character?
How old would Will Ferrell be in this movie?
Well, no, this is the thing with these castings. It's going to be at the time, whenever you want it to be.
Okay.
In his prime, like right now.
I'm going to pass because I am a huge Scott Caan fan, and I thought that's where we were going for it. And so now,
all right, how about Scott Caan?
Yes. And then my last one, famous Godfather character actor, Ed Harris. What are you thinking?
Obviously, yes.
Yes. I mean, we have to, but what role? I guess he's the main guy.
Out Evans is the main guy.
Yeah.
But this would be Ed Harris Abyss style.
Yes, for sure.
Cut,
for sure.
Especially when he rips Quinn out of the bottom of the exercise where he can't pull the bolt out, he would just do it one-handed.
For sure.
People be trying to help me get away. Let me do this.
Yeah. He'd also do it shirtless, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd hope. We all would.
Wasn't Ed Harris only like 8 or 9 years older than us when he was in the Abyss?
Yeah, I think he may even be less than that.
And he looked old as shit.
That's something we can look forward to. Sorry, Ed Harris.
Yeah.
No need to. I know he's a listener. We're sorry to insult you.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. And so to finish up my little portion of it, let's take this to the Phantom Zone.
Engage the Phantom.
Phantom's engaged, sir.
Bum, bum, bum.
So this is a pretty easy one. I didn't even have to write it down. So
really,
yeah. James. Well, I didn't do it from in my head. I mean, I looked it through, but it's easy enough that I know what's up. So James Caan actually makes a cameo appearance, uncredited, in a film called 1941, which is a John Belushi film, kind of using a lot of the people from SNL, directed by Steven Spielberg in 1979. It was his first, one of his first feature films that he directed. Huge flop, critical.
Was it a funny type movie?
Yeah, it was. It's all like the submarine in it is like a Japanese submarine trying to find Hollywood, and they mistakenly end up, finding a commander, American submarine commander called Hollywood. Captain Wood or something.
Okay.
So it's like
this is a Spielberg movie.
This is a Spielberg movie, and so it's horribly reviewed. It was a critical and commercial failure. But also in that is Dan Aykroyd, since he was on SNL, and Dan Aykroyd had a role in Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, which I had used before, because in Pearl Harbor is our boy Willie Fichtner.
Oh,
and Fichtner, come on, Fichtner is like the star of Phantom. Yes. If Ed Harris had died and not been in the movie.
Exactly.
Then he would have been the star. But he's second, basically. Or third after Duchovny.
Super close, man. That's
easy breezy.
Very close connections.
No big deal to go from this very minor war movie all the way to Phantom in like 4 steps. Boom, boom, boom.
I think our elite 3 right now are definitely Ed Harris, David Duchovny, and William Fichtner for most referenced people during episodes.
Probably.
Definitely. I don't know who else, really.
Fichtner shows up in a lot of good movies.
Yeah.
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
There you go. Yep. Which was it, the Turtles
Armageddon?
in Time?
No, that was the Michael Bay
Oh, the Michael Bay ones.
I remember him in an ABC series about like aliens that were living under the Everglades.
I know. I remember that one. He was an alien, basically. An alien had like entered his body.
Yeah.
No way.
Oh yeah, he's like the star of it.
That's crazy.
It only lasted a couple seasons, but it was crazy. It's a real weird movie.
Sounds
Weird TV show. But yeah, so that's Phantom Zone. Easy breezy. Beautiful cover girl.
Ain't
Not
nothing
a sponsor.
but a thing.
Yeah.
All right, it's time.
It's subs world wide.
This is no joke. My brother's wife said this was her favorite segment of the
Subs Worldwide?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Eat that, Jamie.
I know. You know what? She's just having pity on you.
She might be, or watch, I'll show up at your family Christmas just because she wants to meet me and get an autograph. Like, no, it's just a normal guy. I can bring you something. He can sign it. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, this movie, Submarine X-1, uses the X-class submarine, which is a real thing.
Of course.
And so, Alex, it's kind of funny when you're like, the story on this sucked. It's actually pretty darn close to the true story of what went down.
Yeah, well, they should have made a movie on it then.
We made 2 movies.
Yes. So the Royal Navy built about 20 of these subs between 1943 and 1944. And because these are midget-class subs, these are actually designed to be towed to their area of operation by a mother submarine. That's something we didn't see in the movie. Would have added maybe a layer of complication, but we probably could have done it without the German attack or whatever. We probably could have worked it in. So anyway, once in the area, the crew would transfer from the towing boat to the X-class with a dinghy or something like that. And then after they did their mission, did their attack, they'd meet back up with the towing boat and go back home. So the specs they give in the movie are actually very close. The only thing they really kind of fudge is the distance it can travel, and that did away with the towing boat. So they are 51 feet long. When they're in the water, their displacement is 30 tons. And midget-class subs are anything under 150.
Little person class.
Yeah, little
please, come
persons.
on.
They're under 150 tons, so these are very small. And when they're surface, they can cruise at 6.5 knots, submerged 5.5.
And we heard that in the movie. Did you take that from the movie or from online?
I verified it online, but that
Wow.
is exactly what it is in the movie.
These are a little small for our submarine, though. We're looking for like a 900-footer, right?
No, that was the submarine yacht.
Right. No, that's what I mean. That's what we're looking for.
Oh,
there.
yeah. Well, that would be pretty cool. So their surface in the movie, they said they can go 1,500 nautical miles, but really it's 500 nautical miles. When they're submerged, they can go 82. They can go down to a depth of 300 feet, which is what they said. They hold 4 crew members, and even the weapons they use are real.
Oh, my God.
The Amatol charges, that's real.
Oh, my God.
4,000 pound ones. I thought, some fancy, weird thing. And they actually fall off the side of the sub like they did in the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so, like Jamie alluded to earlier, this was based off of the Operation Source. And so the operational base was actually at a castle in Scotland, at a luxury hotel with 88 bedrooms, and it's called Kyle's Hydro Hotel. So I'm a little partial, but it got torn down, whatever. So anyway, Operation Source. This was the first deployment of these X-class subs in September 43. And what they were doing is they were attempting to neutralize heavy German warships in Norway. And so 6 of these subs were used in the real mission. But in the movie, they only used 3. But 2 of them effectively laid charges underneath boats. And the other ones, it didn't really go so hot. So anyway, the X9, it was being towed. And while it was being towed to the spot, all of a sudden it just like abruptly dove down deep in the entire boat, and the people who were on board at the time died. I mean, the boat's gone.
This isn't sounding great for us actually using these subs. I'm not feeling so great about being on them anymore.
No, yeah, they don't have the best longevity.
No.
X8 developed leaks in the explosive charges on the side, which they had to drop those because that was a problem, and that exploded, which severely damaged the boat, and they had to actually scuttle the boat, but everybody was rescued. The X-10 had to just abandon the attack due to mechanical and navigational issues.
Jesus.
So there's 3 of 6. That's half of them. X5 disappeared, and it's just believed that was sunk by Nazi boats. And then X6 and 7 were the ones that could get their charges underneath the Tirpitz, but they could not escape because they were spotted and attacked, and both the subs were abandoned, and the crews were captured.
Wow.
Yeah. But they did not destroy the boat in such a glorious fashion as they did in the movie. They did damage it, but it was out of commission. So it started, this was in September 43. It was out of commission until April 44.
Almost a year. Probably saved some ships, I guess.
Yeah. This was the only time that they used multiple submarine X classes in one attack. And the X-24 is the only remaining X-craft intact, and it is actually on display at the Royal Navy Submarine Museum in the UK.
Guys trip.
So anybody in the UK, you can go ahead and go check out one of these subs.
Send us some pics.
Yes.
For sure. We want to see that little person submarine.
Yep. That's it for Subs Worldwide.
I'm actually starting to wonder, is it offensive that I call it a little person submarine?
Might be. I haven't seen anywhere online anybody calls it that.
Well, people call it a midget submarine, right? Midget class?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if by me saying it as if it was a joke, whether it is subverting a actual issue that is real, and I'm making a joke out of it. I feel bad about it now. Oh well. Well.
Thinking about it and it's gone.
I don't know. I've done it a bunch of times.
Nobody's called out on us yet.
Well,
called
no one
us
listens.
out on it.
Yeah, no one listens. So that's one of the things.
We got some people.
Well,
all right. Alex, you got any news for us?
Well, I was going through doing my regular research on the week, and I got sucked into an article, guys. Here,
you down the rabbit hole type
thing? This is the name of the article. Tell me, you guys would definitely click on this. In 2003, a Chinese submarine was lost at sea. How the crew died is terrifying.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I would
so clicked on it. So according to this happened all the way back in 2003. So this isn't really news, but for whatever reason, this thing it was just printed today. Is when I happened to find it.
All right, so it's news to us.
Yeah, news to us. Anyways, there was this fisherman out in the middle of nowhere, and he sees a periscope for a submarine just floating around. And he thought that was kind of strange, and it wasn't moving. It wasn't going anywhere or anything. So he called it in. Navy showed up, Chinese Navy, and they towed this boat back. So I'm reading this article, and it's talking about what this submarine can do. So that'd probably be right up your alley right there, Kyle. Because half of it, though, it's kind of really tough to describe. Long story short, the article was completely wrong because it doesn't really tell us how the crew died. It's just
serious?
It's just 3 theories of what could have happened.
What are the theories?
Yeah, well, one of them, we've seen this before. The battery acid said somehow some seawater got in there and created chlorine gas. The second one said that the ship just sank to the bottom and crushed its nose on the front. And I thought to myself, that doesn't make sense, because how did that fisherman see the periscope at the beginning? So, okay, I don't know who's writing this one. And then the third one said that they were in snorkel mode, running on diesel, and somehow the air vent closed off and everybody suffocated because the diesel engine used up all the oxygen on the boat in 2 minutes.
I have a fourth theory. My theory is they all went to bed and simultaneously died of natural causes. What do we think? What are the chances, you think? That's a pretty good theory, I think.
Mm-hmm. I would think the snorkel mode one.
Yeah, no, that one sounds real. And also, some of these, it would seem like if they recovered the boat, they would know whether one was more likely than the other.
Right, you could do some kind of toxicology.
They would be able to tell if the batteries had water get into them. They'd be able to tell if, the nose was crushed as it went to the bottom of the ocean. They'd be able to tell whether they had died of suffocation. I'm confused. I'm confused at how they didn't figure it out then. It makes me think that they're all wrong.
Well, the article says that China won't officially say what happens, and that China's official excuse was a mechanical failure. like, well, how does that kill a whole goddamn crew? So I don't know. But it was a misleading.
They were all crushed under a torpedo as they were trying to load it.
Probably.
Could happen.
But they said normally, like, how many people died on here? Like 73 or something? They said normally there's only supposed to be like 60 people on here.
So 73 people were trying to move a torpedo into a torpedo and got crushed? That's crazy.
All at once, yeah.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. So I got sucked right into that one. I was laughing about it because none of it was making sense at all.
Clickbait. It's the best.
Yes, exactly. Other good news, President Trump, your guy, included money in the budget for more submarines. So you can expect more in the future. And I read that in an article from Hartford, Connecticut. And I guess Hartford, Connecticut makes a lot of submarines, or at least helps with the shipbuilding process for a couple different companies. So Hartford was very excited about that. And then lastly, there is some submarine base up in someplace up in Russia, pretty close to the Arctic.
Shout out to our listeners in Russia.
Yep. Well, and I feel bad for these guys. It's really cold up there, and they said 10,000 people without heat right now. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there.
At the sub base?
Yep, at the sub base. So I'll keep you posted. Hopefully they get heat back.
And they can while away their times listening to our submarine podcast.
They don't have heat. Well, they probably have electricity.
I
don't know.
Our podcast warms your cockles. Is that the term? I don't know. Is that right?
I don't know.
You just managed to sneak another cock in there.
Yeah. Somebody look up the word cockles.
I think that's a real thing. I think
it is a
warms
thing.
your cockles.
Guys, you're not going to believe this. I just got an email from Zach.
Is that right?
Yeah, it says, Brom, I realize that I'm the backbone and can't let the team down. Would you please share these Zach facts during the episode today?
Oh, shit. Because I was going to make up a rankings right now out of nowhere.
And that, in fact, is Zach fact number 1.
Word.
Zach fact number 2. The movie originally began filming at Lake Geneva in Wisconsin. Tragedy nearly occurred when the location's crew sailed into a minefield planted by a doomsday prepper living underneath the lake.
No.
Fortunately, James Caan was able to dive and rescue the cast by cutting away one of the mines. Footage of this made it into the final cut of the film, and everyone was transplanted to much safer Scotland waters to complete filming. Fact.
That's a good one.
Wow, dude.
A doomsday prepper.
Caan is a hero.
I know.
A doomsday prepper living under the lake. Gotta set mines here.
Zach fact number 3. Authentic Nazis were used in filming this movie in return for leniency for their war crime prison sentences. When rumors of this fact escaped the set, the Germans were asked to speak in broken German in order to prevent a media firestorm. Fact.
That's great.
Wow. I mean, I can't. It's almost unbelievable, but I have to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Zach fact.
Yeah.
I wonder where they, probably some kind of witness protection program. Wonder where they put him.
You mean now?
Yeah.
They'd probably be dead now.
You never know.
Well, no way. This is 68. They can still be alive.
But they're actual Nazis.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I guess they could have been really young Nazis.
Yeah, they would have been like the young private, whatever their term for that would have been.
But still, wouldn't they? They'd be like 90 years old now. So still likelihood.
Living under the lake in Wisconsin.
That's the most likely scenario, true. Yes.
And lastly, Paul Young, who played leading seaman Quentin, upon conclusion of filming, enrolled in vocational school. He was so embarrassed by his misuse of a wrench during filming that he put aside vanity and acting to learn more real-world skills. Fact.
That's my favorite fact.
That's true. I mean, I gotta believe it because he clearly didn't know how to use a wrench, which is absurd. I'm not even handy, and I know how to use a wrench.
It's not hard.
No.
And that is Zach Facts.
Awesome.
Why you come through?
We also have a letter from a listener.
Ooh.
And now it's time for a letter from listeners like you.
It says, "Hey, Submersibles, if you could see any fictional character as the captain in a submarine, who would you like to see and why?"
A fictional character?
A fictional character, yep.
Yes.
So from like any movie?
Movie, television show, whatever you want.
Anything.
Cartoon, whatever.
Hank Hill.
There we go.
I like it. Why?
Yep.
Why would you like to see Hank Hill?
I don't know. I think he'd just be a good seaman, a good captain. I think
He'd be
he'd
solid.
know. Yeah, his dick would be out all the time.
For sure. He's got to let everyone know what's up.
Let everyone know. He won't be showing his butt, though, because his butt's a little effeminate.
Is that the word? I mean, it's just flat.
I guess. I don't know.
Could they put enough beer on the sub for him?
They could. They could always stop someplace along the way and just get beer because it's Hank Hill.
It's true.
Do whatever he wants. Probably set
Would
up
it
a nice
be
little propane grill up on the deck. Yeah.
Is it a
Hank-
propane-powered sub?
Oh.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. That would be a lot of propane.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah. That's who I want to see, Hank Hill.
Ooh. Oh, man. I'm between two. Two of my favorite animated shows are Aqua Teen Hunger Force and Rick and Morty. I would want to see Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force on there.
I think that's correct, yes.
Just because he'd get super fired up. People start giving him shit. Carl doesn't take it, especially if he had that Foreigner belt buckle like he had in one episode where he could use the superpowers on other submarines. Then we're seriously talking. Mm-hmm. And he's always wearing flip-flops. It's pretty awesome. He's pretty lax.
Should I go next?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. One of my favorite shows on television is a show called Vanderpump Rules, which is about a bunch of people running a restaurant in L.A. and called Sir, and they're just like a lot of drama. It is a reality show, so while they aren't fictional themselves, I think most of what they do on the show is fictional, so I count it. And I would like to see them try to run a submarine together, because guess what? That drama is ratcheted up when you're in close quarters for that long. They can't go off and just be like, fuck all these guys. Like, I'm not going to talk to them for like a week, which happens on the show all the time because there's so much drama. Instead they're right there. And then like Jax, he's always sleeping with people. He's probably sleeping with a bunch of that crew of that submarine. And then, ooh boy, think about the drama then.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You're trapped down there.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
That would be pretty good. I'd also like to see, you guys all remember Chappelle's Show?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrone Biggum, I think, would be pretty good too.
Because he's blind?
No, this is the crack addict.
Oh, that's the crack addict. Sorry. I was thinking of the blind.
No, not him.
Sorry.
That'd make for a totally, entirely different movie.
Yeah, no. No, I was thinking of other ones. Like I know my brother, his ideal one was Big Mama from Big Mama's House because of all like the antics of Big Mama. And it really does kind of fit in with the series. Like you could actually imagine them being like, all right, for the fourth movie in this franchise, Big Mama ends up in the Navy, has to go infiltrate the Navy, and then she's on a submarine and as a captain. Like Big Mama is like cracking heads and like, going after it as like a big fat person getting stuck in like places and like all kinds of stuff. Has to get into like a diving suit, and that's like real crazy because she's all fat and stuff. Like
that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Brom, you got anybody you'd like to see?
I was thinking, what if we have Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine down there and have an episode of that?
A mystery sub?
Yeah, what would our villain be?
Well, our villain in reality would be some kind of like developer who's hoping to take over the local submarine business by making it seem like his competitors' subs are actually haunted by ghosts. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It normally ends up being a regular person who's pretending to be some supernatural being.
I'm pretty sure, like, I remember like a diver being one of the costumes, like a deep sea diver.
Oh, I think you're right. But wasn't it a ghost? Wasn't it still like a ghost deep sea diver?
Yeah, it was definitely still a ghost.
So he makes it glow.
Oh.
He makes it glow, and then
they'd have to do
walks
something
around.
different for this one.
The Harlem Globetrotters. How about that?
That would work.
Perfect. They're on a submarine, and the bad guys are the Harlem Globetrotters. Perfect. But it actually turns out that they're not the Harlem Globetrotters. They're the head of the rival submarine company trying to take over the submarine business.
I could see that.
I think this script is writing itself.
Let's pitch it to Hanna-Barbera.
Done.
Oh, man.
Let's call them up.
People can make Stinger. I'm sure we could get that made.
Yeah, and apparently Amazon has to put it on their programming.
This
Apparently,
could
if
be
you just
our,
ask, they can't refuse. I think another one, like just to finish it up, like Batman already has a submarine, but I would be interested to know what kind of submarine Superman has.
He doesn't need one.
But he does. What happens if he did have one?
Oh. He would just eventually get some kind of call and he'd just fly out of it, bust a hole through it, and everybody die on the sub.
Or the submarine would just like bust out of the water and be like a spaceship.
Well, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. That would be fun. Yeah. I do love letters from listeners. It makes us talk about the important things in life.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.